No good, wide right. The biggest win so far for Jason Eck in his so far brief tenure here in Moscow. 24-21, number 9 over number 2.
You look pretty calm and cool right now in the moment, but do you feel like you need some heart medication?
No, I'm good. I've been walking. I've been working out. I even lifted a few times this week.
3, 2, 1, go!
Montana State looking for revenge and Idaho looking for a repeat. This top 10 matchup has been circled on the schedule all year. Hello and welcome to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm your host, Megan Robinson. When Idaho heads to Bozeman this week, it will be to play their 5th ranked game in a row against a Montana State team who was hoping to remain undefeated. The Vandals and the Bobcats are our game of the week. Joining me now is one of the leaders on that Bobcat D, linebacker, Danny Uluilakepa. Danny, thank you so much for joining me today. Montana State is off to their first 6-0 start since 2012. How would you describe the vibes in the locker room right now?
I would just say we're blessed. We're excited to, go 1-0 every week and just bring that to practice every day. So we're excited for what the future holds.
Danny, you are a linebacker, and that Bobcat defense currently ranks first in the Big Sky, allowing only 18.2 points per game. What would you say your biggest strengths are as a defensive unit?
I would just say we're all well coached. Coach does a good job getting us in the film room and walking us through our assignments. And I just say the tenacity that we play with. We're running to the ball, hustle to the ball. And we do a good job just rallying everyone up.
Looking ahead to this week, you're facing the number 2 defense in the Big Sky and the Idaho Vandals. And I know you watch a lot more of your opponent's offensive tape. However, I'm sure you've seen a little bit of that Vandals D. What have you seen from them that causes problems for their opponents?
Yeah, they're just well coached. I know they're on defense. They got a really well coached defensive line, and they're all physical, big. So, They just do a good job running to the ball, just as we do. But I know our offense is going to do well, and I believe in the boys.
Speaking of your offense, you have the top-ranked rushing attack in the Big Sky, led by Scott Humphrey, Adam Jones, and, of course, the dual-threat quarterback, Tommy Mellott. What can fans expect from that number 1 offense versus number 2 defense matchup that they will see on Saturday?
I feel like it's going to be electric. It's a good matchup. We always love playing the best, and when you get the opportunity to play the top guys, it's always fun. See where you match up. So we're gonna have fun going out there and competing.
When you have 2 guys like Scott Humphrey and Adam Jones who can run the ball, plus Tommy Mellott, who also runs it a lot himself, had 4 touchdowns last week. What advantage does that give you guys over your opponents?
I just feel like we could do it, whatever way. We're not one-dimensional. So, they got to respect everything that we have. They got to respect the read option that Tommy brings, and they got to respect the run, and then they got to respect it as we pass it. Ty's been doing a great job. The receiver's been doing a great job. So I feel like we're not one-dimensional, and, they got to respect everything that we do.
You as a defensive player get to face those 3 guys every day in practice. How does that help your defense prepare for a game like Saturday, a top 10 matchup?
I feel like it's big time. Just the reps that we take against each other, spring ball, fall camp, it really prepares you for, these big time games where you're playing good opponents and good individuals on other teams. So just getting those bank reps and, just making sure everyone's doing good. And we have those bank reps, like I said, so we're excited.
This game on Saturday will be nationally televised on ESPN2. What does this exposure do for the conference as a whole?
I feel like the conference is already in a good place, but this sort of elevates it. We got, I think, 6 or 7 ranked teams already. So just bringing this exposure to the Big Sky is cool. Making sure everyone gets a little share of it.
After the break, hear from Big Sky sack leader and a staple on the Vandals defense, Keyshawn James-Newby.
Definitely. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.
All right. Thanks. All right. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Megan Robinson, joined now by Idaho defensive end and defensive leader Keyshawn James-Newby. Keyshawn, Idaho is the first team in the FCS with 3 ranked wins this season. You're about to play your 5th ranked win in a row. So far, you've had the 2nd strongest schedule in all of the FCS. What statement does that make about this Vandal team?
It's a large statement. We're always willing to take up the challenge and having a hard schedule. We love hard schedules. And hard schedules are good for us. That only makes you better. When you compete against better teams, it just makes you a better team all around, and you're capable of handling adversity a lot better. So that's what I think about that second, hardest schedule in FCS.
Your defense has been a difference maker in a lot of your games so far this season. What is one word you would use to describe your defense and why?
Powerhouse. I said it at the start of the year. We're a powerhouse. We're hard to stop. So that's that one word I would use is powerhouse. We're a strong team, and we're strong-minded and strong-willed.
The Vandals defense ranks 2nd in the Big Sky in several categories: rushing, scoring, sacks, led by you, of course. You're about to face the #1 rushing offense in the Big Sky. What challenges do their running backs present to teams?
Their running backs are very strong, and they got good balance. And so when we take them down, we got to make sure we aim for their legs. We can't tackle high against them, and make sure we're team tackling. Make sure we have all 11 yellow helmets around the running backs at all times, and that's what we'll be able to do to stop these guys.
Quarterback Tommy Malott, of course, is dual threat. He threw for 4 touchdowns last weekend, although you know that he is a threat on the ground and does run into the end zone himself. How do you prepare to face a quarterback with his skill set?
Tommy Malott, he's a good quarterback. I played him my senior year of high school when he played for Butte High, and I played for Helena High. He's always been a fast guy. So, another way to stop a guy that's fast is containing him in the pocket, not leaving any open gaps open for him. Because once we give him an open gap, I know he's going to take it. Playing him from senior year of high school on to now. So just don't give him any open gaps. Keep him contained in the pocket, and that'll be a good way to stop Tommy Malott.
One of the other big matchups in this game is in the trenches, your D-line versus the Montana State O-line. What is the key to winning that battle at the line of scrimmage?
Start fast and physical. That's all it takes is just, starting fast. If we start fast and get on top of them early, we can fight through them and wear them out for the rest of the game. So just starting fast and staying physical. This
game will be nationally televised on ESPN2. What does that exposure do for the Big Sky Conference?
I love it. I think the Big Sky Conference needs this exposure. I think this is a conference that is very overlooked. And so I believe that, when we get these opportunities, I think we put the best play out there. I think we play hard out there. And so that's a good thing, for us to get this kind of recognition. And yeah, just being able to get that recognition is nice.
Still to come, Richie Muñoz's 6th touchdown performance in Weber State's overtime upset had the nation talking. I speak with him next.
We never set out to be the largest casino resort in the Pacific Northwest. We just wanted to be the best. But we forgot that being the best means more guests wanting more action, more jackpots, more big-name entertainment, more pedicures. Well, more everything. Until one day, you look up and realize, we need a new hotel tower. The new River Tower, to be exact. Northern Quest in Spokane, Washington. Now the largest. And yes, still the best.
It was a career night for Weber State quarterback Richie Muñoz, who threw for 364 yards and 6 touchdowns in that overtime win against Montana, earning himself Big Sky and National Offensive Player of the Week honors. Richie, now that you've had a few days to reflect, what does that win mean to you?
That win means a lot to me and my team. Of course, we're always thankful to God for always putting these opportunities, and just always thankful for my teammates, my line, my coaches, because truthfully, I don't have a performance like that if it's not for them. But I just have to do my 1/11th to be able to win the game.
There were 6 lead changes and 42 total points scored in that 4th quarter alone. What was going through your mind through those final 15 minutes of that game?
Yeah, those final 15 minutes it became a shootout. But it was more all right, if our defense is making the plays, then the offense got to step up for the defense, because there's been so many times where the defense has stepped up for the offense. So it's just our turn to step up for the defense, and that's what the offense did.
Everyone talks about the loud environment of Washington Grizzlies Stadium. What did your offense do to sustain drives throughout that noise?
We just stayed focused. We focused on our jobs. We blocked out all the outside noise and focused on our 111th and focused everything to be able to go out there and do all our jobs and just play offense.
I mean, you only had 3 false starts in that game, which is impressive in WA Grizz. How did you guys stay so locked in and be so effective with that noise?
I remember when we first started, coaches were like, I have to be loud because that stadium, it is a beautiful stadium, and fans are, they're great fans over there. So I had to really scream for our O-line to hear. And for us, we had a great week of practice. So we were confident going in that we were going to be able to go and just perform.
Jacob Sharp was on the receiving end of 152 of those yards and 2 touchdown receptions. How would you describe your on-field connection with Jacob?
Oh, I think our connection is amazing. It starts all the way back to even this summer. Always going out after practice, after lifting, getting extra work with him and all the other receivers. So it always goes back to the work that we put on after practice.
What statement does a win like this make, not just to the Big Sky Conference, but all of the FCS?
It just makes that Weber State's a great team that don't take us lightly, because we could go up and play with anyone.
Rocky Boiman is on the call this weekend for Vandals Bobcats. He joins us next for a game preview. Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Megan Robinson, joined now by ESPN college football analyst and host of the Eddie and Rocky Show. Rocky Boiman, you were on the call this weekend for that top 10 matchup between Idaho and Montana State. What excites you most about this game?
Montana State is one of the best college football environments in the country. I mean, that they have that reputation, so I'm really excited to get out there. And I've called some games in a lot of big SEC environments, and they're fantastic. But I think the one in Montana State's unique. So, yeah, really excited. And then you got two great Big Sky teams here in Idaho. Had a nice year last year, getting to the quarterfinals, and I think have a really, really good team. I really like their coach. And again, Montana State with a loaded roster. So I think it's going to be a real fun game.
Idaho has the second best run defense in the Big Sky Conference. They are going up against the top rushing offense led by Scott Trey Humphrey and Adam Jones for Montana State. What will the Vandals have to do if they want to slow down that rush attack?
Well, I think the one thing, Megan, is they also got to remember they got to stop Tommy Mellott, the quarterback. I mean, just when you're worried about Humphrey and those guys, you can forget about Mellott, who I think is one of the most electric and dynamic players in the FCS. You got an offensive line that looks like they returned 2 or 3 starters from last year. All of them are big. And they block very, very well. So, I mean, one of the strengths of this entire team, when you're worried about all the weapons they have and the quarterback and this and that, you can forget about the offensive line, who is one of the best in the Big Sky, certainly, if not the entire FCS.
I spoke with Keyshawn James-Newby about that matchup in the trenches between the D-line on the Vandals versus the O-line on the Bobcats that you just mentioned. He said the key to winning that battle is to get out fast. In your professional opinion, what is your key to winning that battle in the trenches?
One thing Idaho does well is they rotate a lot of guys. You know, they got a lot of guys on that defensive line. And so you got to stay fresh. A team like Montana State, they just kind of wear on you, right? They're big guys. They lean on you, and it may not look pretty in the first and second quarter, but by the fourth quarter, you're just, that D-line's tired. So I think the fact that Idaho is deep is a really, really good thing. I think that's the number one component to it. And then from there, it comes down, Megan, to guys being in every gap. So it's just one of those things where you got to make sure you have your gaps covered. Everyone's in one. Because again, a guy like Humphrey or a guy like Malott can find that open gap and really hit you.
Rocky, expanding to the rest of the Big Sky Conference, they had 7 teams ranked entering week 7. That is more than half of the Big Sky. Why are they such a powerhouse in the FCS?
Yeah, I think, you look at why are teams in the SEC so good every year. It's just, it builds upon each other, right? Like you got a good team, you got a good program. Guess what? Kids want to come there. And whether that's Georgia or Alabama or teams in the SEC or the Big Sky, where if you have a reputation like the Big Sky does for having great football and also I think great environments too. I mean, it's unique environments out there. You're getting out there in the Pacific Northwest and out that way. So I think that's an attractive thing for a kid to come. But again, I'll go back to my original point, which is when you got good programs that consistently win and do good things and put together good teams every single year, people want to be a part of it. So that just kind of builds upon itself every single year.
There are a couple of top 25 matchups in the Big Sky this weekend. Who will prevail? Colter Nuanez from Skyline Sports is here next with Game Picks. Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Megan Robinson. Lots of action across Olympic sports this week. Here's what's happening around the conference. Starting on the pitch, Sacramento State swept their weekend of Big Sky games. They outscored both opponents with a combined score of 7-1. The Hornets have also been hot in volleyball. Entering week 3 of conference play, they are sitting at the top of the Big Sky with a perfect 3-0 record and riding a 3-match win streak. Over the weekend, Montana State had back-to-back 5-set road wins to improve to 3-1 in the Big Sky. Plus, they took both of the Volleyball Player of the Week honors. It was also a big week for Montana State golfer Becca Cheddar, winning her first career victory in her first tournament as a Bobcat. Idaho golfer Zoe Newell hit 3 under par on hole 18 in the Tri-State Invitational for her first career albatross. Finally, NAU women's cross country proved why they're the top team in the country, finishing first in the Notre Dame Invitational. That's what happened this week around the Big Sky. Joined now by Colter Nuanez, the managing editor for Skyline Sports. Colter, you are very familiar with the Big Sky Conference. More than half of the Big Sky teams are ranked in the Stats Perform FCS Top 25. Which team has surprised you the most so far this season?
Well, that's really interesting because I think that the answer broadly for not me would be either UC Davis. I think people expect them to be good, but 5-1 and undefeated in league play. Or maybe the other answer would be NAU. Mickey Mental's the outlier, so maybe that's my answer. I think that he had probably the biggest uphill battle to replace unquestionably the greatest coach in Weber State history. And I know they were kind of up and down last year, certainly finished up with 3 straight wins down the stretch, up and down to start this year too. But you come to Missoula and you get a win, that's a huge win for your program.
We're about halfway through the season right now. If you had to pick your offensive and defensive mid-season MVPs in the Big Sky, which 2 players would you choose?
I think Keyshawn James-Newby has established himself at Idaho as the premier pass rusher in the league. He's one of the great stories in the league as well. I mean, this era of transferring and transfer portal, et cetera, et cetera. He's the rare guy that transferred up from a lower level. He was an NAIA guy. He did it against some of the best competition. He had 5 sacks between the Oregon and Wyoming games, and he's been great in conference play as well. Offensively, if I could pick a unit, I would pick Montana State's offensive line. I think that's the best unit of any side of the ball in the Big Sky Conference. If I had to pick one guy up there, I think it'd probably be Marcus Ware.
I love that offensive MVP pick. Let's see if I love your game picks right now. We'll start with the first of 2 top 25 matchups within the Big Sky Conference. Northern Arizona heading to Missoula to face Montana. It is homecoming up there in Missoula. Both teams looking to bounce back from losses last week. Will the Lumberjacks pull off their second upset of the season?
Not only is Montana coming off of the worst performance at home in the history of their program in terms of defensive points allowed. I mean, they've never given up 50 at home ever. I expect big-time changes defensively. You add in, though, that Montana's only conference loss a year ago was in Flagstaff to NAU. They're going to have redemption on their minds, certainly. I can't imagine that Montana's going to drop back-to-back home games.
Eastern Washington and Sac State face off after both having bye weeks last week. Eastern Washington led by that receiver, Efton Chisholm III. Who do you like in this matchup?
Sack's been kind of going back and forth with their two quarterbacks, Jack Conklin and Caden Bennett, but I think they're sort of centered upon going with Conklin. I think that stability will certainly help them. I'm gonna pick Sac State in this one.
And our second of two top 25 matchups in the conference. This one, a top 10 matchup, our game of the week, Idaho, heading up to Bozeman to face the only undefeated team in the conference, Montana State. Nationally televised game on ESPN2. Which team prevails in this crucial matchup?
I think it's going to be a really uphill battle for Idaho because of their quarterback situation. Jack Wagner's been good, but he's only a freshman, and he's been dinged the last couple weeks. They've had to go with what amounts to their third-string guy. That combined with the fact that when Montana State is at home, if they outrush you and they win the turnover battle, they're truly unbeatable. They have not lost a game in which they've outrushed an opponent and won the turnover battle at home in 6 years. I think the Bobcats win in what should be a really hard-fought and really fun battle.
Colter, appreciate you taking the time. We will see what you get right on Saturday. It's going to be an exciting day of Big Sky football for sure.
Thanks so much for having me.
There is a lot on the line in this top 10 Big Sky matchup that will be nationally televised on ESPN2. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Megan Robinson. I will see you all next week. For all the latest Big Sky content, subscribe to our YouTube channel.